We produce an annual index of U.S. energy security, and now we've just produced the first ever international index. For the U.S.-centric one, it shows that last year was our worst year on record, in spite of a lot of the advances we're making in shale energy and energy efficiency, because still some of our market distortions are still there. Going forward, we see dramatic improvement in our energy security based on living in an era of abundant energy in the United States. Interestingly, Australia ranks above us, number 6. We're number 7. And this is a look back of a number of years and looking forward. So we can see what has changed countries' energy security. And what we see for Australia is you're starting to creep downward. In other words, more risk. You used to be number 3, now you're number 6. I suspect in the next couple of years we might change places and we'll be above Australia because you have an import problem. Obviously, we've had that for a long time, which is why we were even lower than where we are now. And so you're growing dependence on imports and sort of a market distortions with your refineries and other issues with your electricity grid. We're going to need more access to federal lands to dramatically reduce or maybe even ultimately someday eliminate our imports. And so we're going to need access, and we need smart regulation. We have an unusual habit in the United States of what I call pancake regulation, which you just layer it one on top of the other. And that doesn't mean better, it just means more. So we've got to get smarter about regulation. Shale gas, at the beginning of this century, in the year 2000, it was 2% of our shale supply, of our gas supply. Today it's 25%, and it's slated over the next 20 years to go to 50%. So we're seeing a huge exponential increase. In the last couple of years, shale energy, actually, because it's oil as well, has supported about 1.75 million jobs. This is a country that is in a recession. We have 8% unemployment. This is a tremendous contribution to keeping our economy healthy. Going forward, we estimate it's going to go up to 3.5 million jobs. And if the industry, as we see in all of our forecasts, we think the industry is going to invest $5 trillion into the U.S. economy, which will generate about $2.5 trillion worth of tax revenue. So our economy, we're going off the fiscal cliff. We're desperate in need of revenue, desperately in need of jobs. Energy's a really, really good place to start. I don't think any energy source is completely immune from any sort of controversy, whether it's wind and solar, oil and gas and coal, nuclear, everybody's got their own view. But the reality is, I think we should expect industry to live up to the highest standards possible. They should employ best practices. And with the advancements in technology that we've seen over the last decade, can you imagine what the next decade will bring? Hopefully even better and better extraction and better usage. And we should encourage that, and we should regulate that. We certainly are not going to be energy independent, and nor do we aspire to, because we live in a global marketplace. But the prospect of us greatly reducing our imports is right in front of us. The latest forecast, which came out from the U.S. government today, takes our overall imports as 20% of our energy usage down to 10% over the next 20 years. So we're seeing great reductions. Could it be even more? Absolutely. It depends on policy. So self-sufficiency is out there. Whether we'll achieve it depends on policy, regulation, and the market. Well, one of the areas that we're just coming to terms with, that I think Australia is going to have to come to terms with as well, is the rest of the world has prioritized energy as one of their most important inputs, and they're making those investments all around the world to make it so. Enviably, we sit on a lot of resources, both of our countries, and we have to recognize how to use those more smartly to enhance our competitive advantage. Because the marketplace out there is not getting easier, it's getting more competitive. We've got a lot of energy, we can produce it affordably, we can produce it responsibly, and we need to be able to use that to our advantage.